Beauty in the Renaissance glowed with a light that was anything but natural. Pale faces like polished marble, lips as red as crushed roses, foreheads high and smooth as temple walls. On canvases, these women seemed divine. But the truth is darker. Their radiance was painted in poison. Behind the illusion of perfection lay a daily ritual of self-destruction. The Renaissance ideal demanded skin as white as alabaster. To be pale was to be noble. Sunburn belonged to peasants, bent in the fields. But nobility required faces untouched by labor or daylight. The solution? Powders and paints made from heavy metals, minerals, and concoctions that blurred the line between medicine and sorcery. Foremost among them was the infamous Venetian ceruse, a paste of ground lead mixed with vinegar. Smeared thickly on the face, it gave women the cold brilliance of marble. It concealed blemishes, scars, freckles, even the sores left by disease. On portraits, the result was ethereal. In life, it was catastrophic. The lead seeped into the bloodstream, rotting the skin beneath. Cracks, swelling, and ulcers soon appeared. But to hide the damage, women simply applied more ceruse. The mask became both salvation and executioner. The forehead, too, was sculpted by fashion. In the 15th century, a broad, towering brow was the mark of elegance. Women plucked or shaved their hairline back almost to the crown, creating a domed expanse of skin. Some applied caustic solutions, lime, ashes, or vinegar, to burn away regrowth. The smell was acrid, the pain sharp, but the effect was unmistakable. A forehead transformed into an architectural statement. And there was mercury. Physicians praised it as a purifier. Alchemists revered it as the metal of transformation. Women rubbed mercury ointments into their skin, believing it smoothed the complexion. Instead, it eroded flesh, blurred eyesight, and poisoned nerves. Tremors, fatigue, loosened teeth. These were explained away as delicate symptoms of refinement, even as the body decayed from within. For lips, another poison, cinnabar, the powdered ore of mercury sulfide. When mixed with wax or fat, it yielded a vivid vermilion paint. Just a touch across the mouth and the face came alive. Yet cinnabar, like all mercury, was a slow dagger, corroding health while promising beauty. The irony was cruel. The more damage these substances caused, the more essential they became. Lead ruined the skin, which required more lead to conceal. Mercury darkened the flesh, which demanded thicker masks to restore the illusion. A cycle of dependency, painting over rot. Why endure this torment? The answer lay not in vanity alone, but in survival. A woman's appearance was currency. To fade was to be forgotten. To blemish was to lose power. In the courts of Italy, France, and England, a pale mask could mean influence, alliances, even a crown. And there was psychology at play. To men of the period, the cosmetic face was enchantment itself, a mask of youth, an image of eternal freshness, a saintly aura of uncorrupted flesh. Behind it, women sacrificed health for the role they were forced to embody, not merely wives or daughters, but symbols of prestige, dynasties, entire nations. Thus, beauty became a ritual of poison, not a mirror of life, but of control, illusion, and slow decay. The cult of poisonous beauty was not limited to powders and paints. It seeped into perfumes, washes, even the very air women breathed. The Renaissance court was a theater of scent and sight, and every gesture was performed under a haze of chemistry. Perfumes were rarely the sweet florals imagined today. Instead, they were pungent mixtures of musk, ambergris, civet, all grounded in alcohol or oils that could irritate the skin. Women dabbed them across cheeks already burning from lead paste, sealing in toxins with animal musk. To carry a pomander, a little orb of perfume at the waist or around the neck, was not only a gesture of elegance, but also a talisman against miasma, the bad air thought to carry disease. Yet the pomander's fragrance mingled with cosmetics, intensifying headaches and nausea born of hidden metals. Even the rituals of cleansing were steeped in danger. Washing too often was considered suspicious, even unhealthy. Instead of water, women relied on tonics, vinegars, rose waters, or solutions laced with arsenic. These beauty waters promised to banish freckles and stains. In truth, they stripped the skin raw. One Venetian recipe called for soaking the face in mercury sublimate dissolved in spirits. The result was a temporary glow and permanent corrosion of the flesh beneath. Stranger still was the fascination with belladonna, the beautiful lady plant. Its juice, distilled into drops, was dripped into the eyes to dilate the pupils. Large, dark eyes were seen as passionate, alluring, almost divine. But belladonna is deadly nightshade. Repeated use blurred vision, damaged sight, and sometimes caused blindness. Yet women dripped poison directly into their gaze, transforming their eyes into black mirrors of desire. The danger was well known. Physicians warned of lead sickness. Priests preached against the vanity of false faces. But the warnings were powerless before the force of fashion. To appear barefaced was to risk ridicule, suspicion, even accusations of neglecting one's role. A lady of rank without her whitened mask might be mistaken for a servant. The paint was not decoration, it was armor. And beneath it all lurked a cruel paradox. The more artificial the face, the more natural it appeared to others. To a Renaissance courtier, beauty was not bare skin, but the perfected mask. A cracked, sickly visage without paint was unnatural. The leaden mask was purity. Truth itself had been inverted. This inversion carried political weight. In Florence or Paris, a marriage contract might hinge on appearances. A noblewoman arriving with flawless pallor could secure alliances worth fortunes. The mask of lead was as powerful as a dowry. In England, Elizabeth I herself was said to favor ceruse, applying it thickly to cloak the scars of smallpox. Her painted whiteness became an emblem of majesty, a portrait of the Virgin Queen untouchable by time. Yet the Queen's mask, like that of her subjects, demanded ever more poison to sustain. And with each layer, the line blurred between performance and reality, between symbol and flesh. Women carried the illusion on their skin, but the illusion carried them as well, into sickness, dependency, and silence. By the late 16th century, the toll of this poisonous beauty could no longer be ignored. The symptoms were everywhere: trembling hands, teeth blackened or missing, flesh that refused to heal. Whispered scandals spread through courts, noblewomen wasting away behind locked doors, faces disfigured beneath their alabaster masks. Yet the rituals continued, unbroken, because abandoning them meant something worse than sickness: social death. Even in art, the mask endured. Portrait painters carefully recorded the pale perfection, immortalizing women not as they were, but as they were expected to be. The brush concealed sores just as lead paste did. Generations later, we gaze upon these portraits as if they reveal truth, when in fact, they record a carefully maintained illusion, a lie sustained by poison. Psychologically, the practice reveals a society terrified of decay. In an age stalked by plague, where disease could hollow a family in weeks, beauty became a desperate denial. To paint the skin white was to claim immunity from corruption, to lift oneself above mortality itself. Cosmetics were not vanity, but ritual, a sacred mask warding off chaos. And yet, death seeped through the mask. Lead destroyed the very thing it promised to preserve. Mercury hollowed the body. Belladonna clouded the eyes until they saw nothing. To embrace the Renaissance ideal was to enter a slow covenant with death, bartering years of health for fleeting glances of admiration. Still, women persisted, because beauty was power. A flawless face could sway a negotiation, charm a patron, even shift the course of dynasties. The toxic mask was more than skin deep. It was a language of status, a weapon of influence. To renounce it was to surrender position, to abandon the stage on which history itself was played. The most tragic irony was how these poisons consumed not only the body, but also the truth of the self. Behind every alabaster mask was a woman hidden. Her real skin, her real eyes, her real fragility erased by the demands of fashion and politics. Identity dissolved beneath layers of lead. The illusion became the person. And so the Renaissance, an age we celebrate for its rebirth of art and knowledge, was also an age where women's bodies became canvases for deadly illusions. Beauty, sold as purity, was in fact corruption. Power was won by decay. What the world admired as divine radiance was often nothing more than the glittering face of poison. In the end, this is the lesson. Image rules reality. The mask can outlast the flesh. The portrait can outlive the woman. And history remembers not the trembling, the pain, the rotting teeth, but the painted face gazing serenely from the canvas.